All right, you guys, it's about time to get started here. If you guys would kind of gather around, Dixon, I think this is a good cue for you to get rolling. You guys can actually come closer. It is quite okay. I promise I won't bite. All right, you guys, we want to welcome you. And first of all, Happy New Year. My name is Chad Andrews, and welcome to Winston-Salem's newest professional cycling team. Team Winston-Salem is here for 2025. Just a little bit of a backdrop about me. I have commentated the Winston-Salem Cycling Classic since its inception, so this is kind of like a second home to me. Being from Charlotte, I'd love to be able to just get in a car and drive up here and see all of you wonderful faces that are here to talk about and learn about this new team that we have for 2025. First of all, I'd like to welcome the mayor, Alan Joins, of course. Mayor, are you around here? Mayor, would you like to say something, or you just want to wave and say hello?
Hello.
Hello, there he goes. I do love the politics already in Winston-Salem. You just got to say that, but Mayor, thank you very much for coming tonight. We know you're on a tight schedule, but we really do appreciate it. And team organizers sought to place this home city's name in front and center of Team Winston-Salem. And I gotta be honest, when the first time I heard it, I was kind of like, Team Winston-Salem, that's just so awkward. Well, here's some backdrop that none of you guys know. There was actually a push many years ago to do a race series based on city locations. Now, one series kind of did it, but I think that this Team Winston-Salem push is kind of a great idea, because not only that, you have riders from all over the country that are going to be riding for this team, but it gives this town and this city and the riders and the team an identity, kind of an anchor point for what this city can do for the sport of cycling. I remember commentating the, what's the name of the park where Aldo won? Haynes Park. God, 60, I'm almost 60, so bear with me. So Haynes Park, I mean, this has always been a staple. The Triad has been a staple to bike racing, and being from North Carolina, it's always been a great pride of mine to be able to commentate and even race back in the day some of the great races that we've had here in the past. And it's comprised, of course, of professional cyclists from around the country and around the world. And of course, we'll be talking about around the world. Most professional cycling teams have riders from all over the country, but I think the grassroots impetus that John has put together and the rest of the team, along with Flo, Sterling, and the whole crew, kind of adds a new flavor to cycling in the area. I think we've been remiss since, I don't know, for those of you who have been in the sport of cycling, if you're mean, where's Pat Raines? He'll probably smile. A couple other ones, John. Team Mountain Khakis came from back in the day. So there's been a lot of great professional cycling teams, and I think having a team named as Winston-Salem just adds a new little flavor to it. And of course, we have so many great races that the team is going to be attending. Of course, I'll be there to commentate a lot of it. And it goes all the way, it starts with probably USA Crits. We have cyclocross that some of the riders are already participating in. So this team is not just a racing team for the road, a racing team for criteriums, or a racing team for cyclocross, or mountain bike, or gravel. I'm waiting, I'm scrolling down here to see if there's actually a unicycle racer. What does that mean to me? It means that this is the full breadth team that I think that's the new way of cycling and the way it's going to go. You're going to have teams and riders that participate in multiple disciplines. Right now it's cross and mountain biking for some of the late season stuff, and then we're going to transition to the road, which is criterium and road racing and time trials. So that's kind of the impetus and the foundation of the team. And of course, it includes a formidable roster of professional cyclists. And of course, the team has a goal quickly emerging as a preeminent domestic elite team. Now you're saying to yourself, Chad, what is a domestic elite team? That means that they're going to be racing against some of the top pros and elite riders throughout the country. What's the difference between an elite rider and a pro? Not much. Matter of fact, virtually nothing. So the smart thing is to develop from a grassroots standpoint of what a team is all about and how it's going to grow. And I think being a domestic elite gives this team so much breadth and so much room to grow. Because in the past it used to be, we have got to become a domestic pro team stat. And a lot of times throughout my 30 years of doing this, I found that that is a failed way and a failed business model, because it puts a lot of pressure both financially and a strain on the team, because it stretches the length of the season. So being a domestic elite team, you're going to get to enter all the big races that everybody else does, but you have the budget and it can be smart and tight. And that's why I really applaud what Team Winston-Salem has done. So speaking of which, I think it's now time, begrudgingly, I'm sure he will, but I'd like to introduce John Hamlin. John, come on up here, buddy. Where is John? There he is. And I promised John I would only use words that are less than 5 words. So John, seriously, in all seriousness, the history for you and I goes back probably 20 years. Tell me about what it's like for you to be in this position today, coming from an amateur, going up to the pros, then becoming a team director, then a coach. There's so many facets to what you are doing. How does that all tie into this team this year?
Well, hopefully I'll be able to bring a little bit of knowledge and experience to the riders and give them an idea like how to get out there and win some races. Yeah, you know, I've been thinking about doing this for a long time. Actually, when I was a junior, I always wanted to have my own team. And we've...
Sorry about that.
Yeah, so now we're finally getting this together, and it's pretty exciting.
And when you say, and again, please, one round of applause, because I have watched John and everybody else that's on the periphery of John put this idea together. And when he says it's been coming a long time, it really has. What does it mean to you? How fulfilling is it for you to see 75 to 100 people here in a beautiful backdrop, having flow behind it? You've got the mayor, you've got Riazi, Ryan, and Swain. You've got so many good friends that are here to support it. What does it mean to you intrinsically to see this come to fruition?
Oh boy, I don't know. I can't even put it into words. Yeah, I'm just really grateful. Really grateful.
It might be my voice that's killing him. I'm sorry. He just said he's really grateful. Maybe I think it's your electric energy that's causing that. Hey, let's put our hands together for John Hamlin, of course, the founder of the team. Thank you, John. Yeah, that was really weird. Transfer that energy to the team, mate. Now, I think now is a perfect time to introduce a U.S. National Mountain Bike champ. And this lady, actually, this young lady, this woman, races, I think I scrolled through her profile, every kind of bike that you would want to and can. Without further ado, come on up here, Sierra. Sierra Sim, gonna do a little quick interview with Sierra, one of the ladies on our team. All right, I gotta ask you the question. Maybe the mic won't go out. More nervous about racing or doing interviews with a commentator?
Oh man, I think this is probably my hardest one.
We'll make it very easy for you. Tell us what it means to you. You live in what, Hendersonville, is that correct?
Yeah, I live in Hendersonville. I moved there for the mountain biking. I actually told somebody that and they were like, no, but really, why'd you move there? And I was like, no, I really moved there for the mountain biking.
So she said she moved there for the mountain biking. Slide over here a little bit, I think it might be me. You are national champion and you also race other disciplines. What are your strengths that you're going to bring to the team, not only from a leadership standpoint, but from winning a national championship?
Yeah, so I guess beyond mountain biking, I also raced a season of USA crits and like the road scene. So I've raced pro road nats in Knoxville when it was there. So that's like where I'm originally from. So I think the background for me is just like so much experience in different disciplines, and coming out of like collegiate racing was really like where I like grew as a cyclist. And so like just like showing that to other cyclists and bringing them into the sport, I think is what I stand for, because I was like the president of the collegiate team for so long. So really just an understanding of the sport and like the team dynamic of it, I think is kind of what I like to push in this team. And it's also so cool to see how enthusiastic the owners are, and everybody that supports the team has been like the dream to be a part of. So it's really cool.
Wonderfully said. Now I'm going to push you. What are your expectations for yourself and for the team in 2025?
I think the team has some big goals, so I think we definitely want to see some W's. I think that there's like a lot of depth in the team too, so I think that a lot of people are going to be putting themselves in new situations. So I think even just like performances, like processing, so something that maybe they've never done before, I think would be cool to see some people on the team do. For me, I've been off-road for a little bit, so coming back on the road scene will be interesting. So I'm excited to see kind of how it's evolved over the years, and just as like I've grown, I want to also be able to grow with the peloton.
Very well said. What's your first event coming up in 2025?
I do have a Southern Cross in Georgia, but with the team, it's going to be Mid-South, so that'll be fun.
There you have it. Sierra Sims, we are women's elite rider for the team. Thank you very much, Sierra. We really appreciate it. And of course, we talked earlier about the title sponsor is Flow, but we also want to recognize Salem Sports Events, Riazi, Ryan, and Swain. Of course, the investment group. There are gold sponsors, of course, other key sponsors, National Cycling Center, Harrow Bikes, Juba Eyewear, and Shellco. Those are all wonderful partners that we're going to have throughout the year coming up in 2025. Big round of applause for that. And now we're going to have our next rider come up here. You probably know this guy for many different reasons, whether it's his great personality or whether it's incredible talent on the bike. Without further ado, let's bring up Will Harden. Will, where are you, buddy? Smile, I love it. All right, so the first question, what does that mean to you when you hear that round of applause? It was not subtle, it was pretty loud. What does it mean to you as a young bike racer to hear that?
Yeah, I think the biggest part of this team and what the applause means to me is just the community that we have here. It just touches my heart every time. Like, everybody in this room, there's this love, and that's cool.
Speaking of love, you seem to love the sport of bike racing. What is it, you were kind of at the doorstep. I was tangled with my words because I wanted to think about how I wanted to ask them. You were at the forefront. You were there with John, and I remember watching you race with different teams or whatever, but there was something special when you donned is it green and, I don't know the colors. Maybe we need to figure out what the colors are. But that power that you had when you raced in that, even in USA Crits, and the car breaking down in the whole 9 yards, I heard that story. What does it mean for you to see this crowd here and to be a part of this new burgeoning team in 2025?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, I started racing with John pretty much. Like, he was one of my first mentors on the bike, especially racing. And so just being able to like reconnect and build off of kind of what I've gone out and learned from other pro teams, it means a lot more than I ever thought it would, and it's huge. So I'm excited about the whole. Like, it's just surreal right now how much this has grown and how big of a support and like community we have around.
Do you feel a little bit of pressure now that you have huge commitment from the city of Winston-Salem?
I think it's the right kind of pressure.
Oh, all right, Chad, take that. Now, I know you had some challenging times a couple years ago, and now you've got duck power behind you. What does that mean to you to have that kind of strength behind you? Yeah.
I mean, it's another sort of pressure, like the expectation just to do something greater than yourself. And yeah, we have lost a lot as a community, and I personally have lost a lot. But yeah, we have like more profound meaning, and I think we have like a good direction from the whole thing, even though it was we've had a lot of tribulation in the community. So.
Trials and tribulations for sure. I asked Sarah the question, now I'm going to ask it to you. What is the team, in your mind, the goal this year, and then your personal goals as well?
Yeah, we've achieved so much already with the team. I'm so excited to see how much more we can get from this. We've got a lot of big races lined up, and being able to make a huge presence there, really make an impact at races is probably my favorite thing to do. Just race aggressively and show them what we've got, and I think we've got a lot. So I'm excited to see that happen. We're also going to be doing some gravel racing, which is one of my favorite types of racing as far as like just the long style racing with a lot of different features. And I like a story out of a race, so I'm hoping we get some great stories out of the year personally, and then as a team, I'm excited to grow together with this group of individuals.
So brings me to the last question I'm going to ask. How are you going to plan on portraying this story? Is it going to be internal? Is it going to be external? Is it going to be through Instagram? Is it going to be through something else? How do you feel that you're going to express the story and the trials and tribulations from the past and all the goals that you see for 2025?
Yeah, that's a great question. There are just so many outlets now in which people can tell their stories, and it's been crazy to see this week. Like, we've got print and television and all that sort of stuff just rallying behind us, which is so exciting. And I think it's going to happen in a lot of different forms of media, and anybody who's interested in our story will be able to find it just online and in paper.
Chapter 1 starts right now. Will Martin, thank you very much, Will. Speaking of which, I briefly want to, before we get on to one of the biggest sponsors that we have for the team, and briefly kind of go over the Hincapie race series. For those of you who don't know, that's George and Rich Hincapie. They're putting on a criterium race, and then throughout the whole, Stillwater, Oklahoma are traveling to Charleston, West Virginia for nationals. Of course, back in town for the USA Crits finals. For those of you who don't know about USA Crits, it's the biggest criterium series in the United States of America, and I think the promoters have gotten smart in conjunction with Riazi, Ryan, and Swaim, and Dr. Rauch, and everybody else, pulling it in so that it's a much tighter schedule, so that the riders don't have to travel as much, so the racing is going to be lights out. The finals are going to be here in Winston, so that is a huge get again to the guys here in Winston-Salem. We really appreciate that. And then we're going to move on to a lot of cyclocross, a lot of gravel, and a lot of road racing. This is a prodigious schedule. You look at this schedule, I look at this schedule and I go, how are they going to pull it off? But then after hearing Sierra and Will and talking to everybody, and again, it's the new version of bike racing, I think, where it's gravel, where it's cross, where it's mountain biking. So they're going to spread themselves across the U.S. in different disciplines, and I think the story that Will, Sierra, and the rest of the team and the team managers and everybody are going to be sharing, it's going to be a lot of fun. I personally look forward to the storyboard on how it's going to unfold. Yeah, it's pretty exciting. Being a Carolinian, I'm really excited for the team. So without further ado, I think it's now time to bring on Don Flo, of course, the CEO of Flo Auto. And where are you? Come on up here, Don. I would like to talk to you for a moment, if you don't mind. He's going to flank me to the other side. I'm going to have to turn. You're very good right there. So it's funny. I was talking to, who was I talking to? Might have been Sterling. I forgot. How many times in my life I said, here comes the Flo BMW around the turn again. Here he goes to the finish line. So if I can't even imagine how many times I've said that term. And to me, it just means, hey, there's a company in Winston-Salem that's committed to cycling. Why such a commitment to health, wellness, and cycling?
Well, first let me begin by saying that I've got lots of friends out here who pulled me along the way for many years, including those 3 mountains we see behind us, which I'm very grateful for y'all letting me just tuck in behind, never have to lead, just try to get to the top. So thank y'all for letting me do that. Also, I would say that I have a great friend in Rick Rauch who came to me a number of years ago, and he had gotten a wonderful kind of report from the doctors about a particular situation he was in, which was a moment of real just celebration. And I said, so Rick, what would you like to do? And he said, I'd like to bring cycling to Winston-Salem. So I said, okay, will you sleep on the floor for it? Because nothing begins if somebody's not willing to own it along the way. And he said, I got it. So I said, can I support you? Tell me what you need. And that began a wonderful story of Sterling and his leadership and many other folks along the way in the city. And I'm just grateful for Rick's leadership with all that. And you know, candidly, when I look out seeing this community of folks doing this along the way, that's, in my experience, again, how this happens. So I have this guy out here I love to death named Greg Ralston somewhere. And Greg came to see me and said, I have this idea. And I said, I've had this kind of conversation before. So tell me about the idea and what are you willing to do to make this idea real? And he asked me in conversation, he said, tell me a little bit about your experience with tennis in Winston-Salem. So 38 years ago this year, we did the first tennis tournament. And it began because a group of people like this came together and said, could we do something? We were smaller, probably about 20 of us began at that time. In fact, some of you might have been there originally. I was involved, Harold Pollard, Doug Roberts, and Gray Smith. Our families, our kids, kind of what it was about. Today there's 700 volunteers involved in the Salem Open. And my charge to you might be that here's a community of people that is enormous in this city for cycling. How could we grow that community that would support this team? So it might really become the community's team that we invest in and believe in the same way. Dr. Pollard, Harold, before he passed away, he and I were sitting one day at the end of the tournament looking out in tennis, and we looked at each other and said, if we screw this thing up, we're going to have to leave town. And so there's a sense in which you kind of want to be able to say this becomes so important to Winston-Salem, so much identified with who we are, that it becomes something the whole community owns together, and everybody takes pride in it all the way. When people stop and say, what do y'all have in Winston-Salem? We have a great cycling team. The mayor and I have talked a lot about what's the future of Winston-Salem going to be? And I've said, it's not going to be big corporations moving here anymore. That's not what it's going to be about. It's going to be about entrepreneurship, starting and growing things. Starting and growing things. And my hope is that this cycling team is the beginning of starting and growing something really, really important for Winston-Salem. So that's why our company decided to be involved, because we want to support that person I love so much, Greg Ralston, and all these friends who carried me along the way. And also that this is a chance for Winston-Salem to do something really special in a very important space in sports, and it matches the kind of city we're about, which says let's be a community that comes behind folks. So that's why we're involved, Chad.
Ladies and gentlemen, CEO of Flow Automotive, Don Flow, thank you very much for your support. And actually, Greg told me an interesting story that Don Flow did, I'm not going to say his age because that's inappropriate, but he did an
69!
holding firm. 69, he did 69 miles at 19 miles an hour on his birthday. That is insane. So for those of you who don't know too much about cycling, to average 19 miles an hour at 20, at 25, or 75 is tip of the cap to you, sir. Very well done. So I want to keep it short. What was that?
And a lot of folks were phone.
Did you pedal your bike at 19 miles an hour? Enough said. Done.
And about the way he lied. We went 80 miles.
Is this the story of y'all's relationship? A little bit of fudging, a little bit of lying.
We're done now.
Yeah, I noticed that you guys are about 3 bike links from each other right now. Understood. Well, they're going to get together. They're going to do a rotating pace line throughout the group to say hello to all of you guys. I hope you guys had a wonderful time. This team presentation means a lot to me, being a Carolinian. And on behalf of Flow Automotive, Riazi, Ryan, and Swain, for Team Winston-Salem, you guys grab a drink, grab a friend, and share stories about what the past of Winston-Salem cycling is all about and what the future is going to be. My name is Chad Andrews, and we'll see you guys around here. Thank you.
Smile.